Okay, hello. Thank you. Okay, can get a confirmation from the moderator that you can hear me, please?
Can hear you.
Perfect. Sorry about that. I'm having to take this call outside of my normal desk environment or do this Discord. I hope everyone's doing well. So we will get started here and give it we usually give it 1 more minute. Get my notes up. Okay, so I think we've given adequate time for everybody to get in here, so we'll get started. There's some good questions today, and we will endeavor to get through as many of these as possible. Okay. All right. So the first question, and this is a good one to start off with because it's a good overview, is can understand while keeping in mind that I cannot talk a lot of specifics on this channel. Can I give my opinion on the overall opinion of Q2 and how that's going? So my overall opinion of Q2 is I'm quite encouraged with Q2. I actually like Q2 better than I liked Q1 overall. One of the main reasons for this is we've made a lot of advancement on the AI side of the house. And as all that stuff frees up and we're allowed to discuss it, we're going to be discussing it. At this time, I can only speak in certain vagaries. But I am very encouraged by the advancement we did there. For the Q2 COVID stuff, again, it's ongoing. And, things are moving along as expected. There is, in the television and film production, there is a bit of a lull in like the June-ish timeframe, June, July. And the reason is because that's the decision-making timeframe where they decide should, new shows be re-upped? Are they going to get another season? What movies get greenlit, et cetera, et cetera. And so we saw that happen as predicted. And then things are ongoing from there, and it's continuing. So we're seeing now all the shows that got re-upped and starting again on the next season of this show and the next season of that show, et cetera, et cetera. So overall, very happy with that. We've got some of the best AI pieces that we've ever worked on running around now. And as I said, as soon as we're free to talk in more detail about these things, we will be. I'm always optimistic on that. Probably a little bit overly optimistic about when I am and am not allowed to talk about things. So that's my overall view. The next question is, do you see correlations between stock prices and news releases? Well, certainly. There's always correlations with stock prices and news releases. The thing to keep in mind here, COVID stuff happens very rapidly. The AI stuff doesn't happen as fast, although it does happen, but when you're looking at larger AI contracts, those news cycles are usually between 6 and 12 months. That's the news cycle on something like that. Whereas the COVID news cycle, when we get a COVID call, they usually want to know, can we do something about it like 6 hours ago? So it's immediate. But that's how those news cycles work. Again, like I said, I'm really happy with what's going on with AI, and you guys will be too as soon as I can get into details. Are you able to share an open letter to shareholders as you did when you first started? Yeah, I could certainly do that with the state of affairs. But what I've tried to do in lieu of that is be a little more expressive. Like we've brought the webinars in, which we do to provide to a wider audience every so often. And, you know, I jump on here for those who really want to hear my voice a lot more often, as much as possible on Mondays. I do try to keep this spaced. Occasionally, you know, there's going to be an interruption, but again, that's what I would have been doing instead of that. But yeah, we can look into putting out another open letter to people and give them an idea of what we're, you know, overall state of the business through a letter. No problem. So there have been quite a lot of questions around Medi-Call and people asking about different aspects of the acquisition. There's a lot of questions around the strike prices and the expiry dates and exercise prices and, you know, things of this nature. When will the warrants be able to be traded, et cetera, et cetera. That, again, is an example of something that I cannot put out here as it's material news. So unfortunately, I know we've gotten some inquiries on this. As soon as that information is available and has been cleared for release by the regulators, you know, it will be publicly available, but not through this Discord channel, as this is not a place I can disclose anything material such as that. Question, will the change of the auditor impact the release of Q2 numbers? No. That's the short answer. Auditors, Q2 numbers about finished. And that's just us consolidating auditors. Like we're just trying to get all the stuff in the same basket. So it's not just the audit process. There's tax credits, there's research and development tax credits, there's all kinds of other pieces that go in there. And I'm just trying to get everything all with one group, as opposed to it's a bit fractured right now. So we want to make sure that that's all in one place, just make our lives easier. So project updates. Okay. So we will go through. The other thing, just follow up before I get off the auditors. People are asking about the new auditors. That will be out as soon as it's cleared. You'll see a press release. So just hang tight, and when I'm allowed to release it, we will release that information. But again, like I said, it's got to be cleared by the regulators. Okay. So project updates. Now there's a lot of projects going on. So what I am going to go through as many of these as I can. Some I cannot speak to, some I can. Okay, so let's start with some of the things. One of the questions came out about Latte Land and Expand. You saw, I believe it was 5 new properties come on board not too long ago, so 6 weeks maybe. That's where that is. One of those properties, though, was not underneath the Latte umbrella. That's Shinhan Financial. And they're on board also, independent of Latte. That leads me into an update on the work we're doing with Shinhan. That R&D work has started. So the technical teams that are responsible for this are looking at it now. And, you know, we've even hired into that technical team because there's more work than we could do with the current staff. And as they start, you know, getting into something a little more firm, so over the next month or two, as some of these pieces take further shape, there'll be more to report on this. At the moment, you know, it's a very R&D heavy project, what they're working on at the Shinhan Financial. Just for those of you who don't know what it is, we're working with Shinhan and a couple other groups who want to know, can we apply our AI techniques that we use in the financial tech world. So there's been a lot of questions around this, and then a few, experiments we did to see what would happen were very promising. So we're now embarking on an endeavor to see what that would look like. As I said, this is a largely R&D project at the moment. So that's as soon as some of that R&D firms up and we have a really good idea of what's hanging around out there, you'll see some press releases about it, including, contracts and things like that. And so it has begun. Okay. Ideas, DRDC. This is the big ones. MDA, COVID, NATO negotiations, et cetera. Okay. All these are tied up in like one giant ball. Okay. So just to clarify, the MDA, COVID ideas, DRDC, D&D, this is all tied together in one larger bidding process. Okay. So we are well into that process. We've passed several milestones on those, and we are awaiting, further confirmation from the government side as to, what milestone is next. But those negotiations they're going very well, and we are in a very good position, is I guess the best I can say right there with those particular ones. And we expect a lot of resolution about those very shortly, from what we're seeing as far as the communication is concerned. So keep your ears to the ground. I'm hoping that they will let us release that information sooner rather than later, but I don't think it'll stretch on much longer, as this is in the final phases right now. For a few of the others, I'm not allowed to comment on it. Like some people have asked about deals and such within the U.S. right now. I can't comment on anything inside I'm not allowed to comment on anything inside the United States government at this time. When I am allowed to comment on that, I will comment on that. Okay. The drone deal, has it been cleared? Not yet. Short and skinny. This one always baffles me. Like the Medi-Call stuff went through really quickly, the drone stuff didn't. I cannot tell you why or why not. We've submitted everything they've asked for, and now we're in hurry up, wait mode. Okay, so that's the ones that are still relevant that haven't been put out in the thing. Next question. People were talking about, asked about the OTCQB activity. We have engaged a marketing firm in the U.S. They started with some campaigns a few days ago. I want to say Wednesday. It might have been Thursday, last Wednesday or Thursday. So now that we have a presence in the United States, one of the things that we want to do is expand people's awareness of what we're doing and get some eyeballs on the story, because we like our story, we like where we're going with it. So there are some marketing plans and people in the U.S. working right now, both on institutional investors and some marketing campaigns aimed at your average solo investor that should we hope will raise awareness of Datametrex in the United States market and draw more attention to the OTCQB. So one of the things, I want to continue with the AI stuff, and then I want to come back to some COVID things, but I want to finish these up. There's a lot here. So what is your recommended response to people who claim that DM is not an AI company, that there's no AI deals because they have not been any news releases? DM is a pure COVID play. and implying that COVID revenue simply pushed back the inevitable downfall of DM as it slides back to pennies per share and then bankruptcy. Okay, so let's take this on 2 or 3 levels, and I'll give you my response. Well, number one, if you look at what's been done over the past year and a half, we went from absolutely nothing to quite a bit of AI revenue, including some very large accounts, such as Samsung, defense contracting, Latte. These are not small players. We've been able to land those, we've been able to expand those, and you'll have a really, really good answer to this one very, very soon, as soon as I'm allowed to release it into the press. There'll be more ammo on that front, but our AI revenue has grown year over year, so it is not insignificant, and this year is not going to be any different. So that's with the AI one. Pure COVID play, absolutely not. We're actually, again, we're expanding on the AI side right now, and this is the first time we've been in a position to do so. And so we're expanding even into new verticals, as we've talked about on here. So there's Medi-Call product that'll be coming out. We have some stuff in the financial tech that's under the R&D phase, like we said. We've also got a few other things, bids that are working their way through the system. And then as far as sliding back and going bankrupt, we've got more runway and cash in the bank than DM's ever had. So that's not happening anytime soon. I think like the last time I looked, it was about 14, 15 million cash in, liquidatable assets on hand, any given day. So we're in a really good position as far as that's concerned. I'm not even worried about that at all. Now, I have a lot of questions coming in about the 40 million bid code piece. One of the things that people ask is how many other people are bidding. What is what is the nature of those bids, et cetera. That I can't answer, as that's still under a gag order. We're not allowed to say who's in that bidding process. Suffice it to say that we're at the very end of it. So we've made it very, thus far. Now, some other things that came in about that particular piece that I can answer. What is the currently expected rough finalization timeline? Right now, we're just waiting for the final word. So everything is submitted, the milestones are done, and we're awaiting a decision on that. But the field has been pruned significantly. We're still standing. And I'm really happy with this particular process, as you say. So I'm not going to tell you it's going to be in a week or it's going to be in a month, because I cannot affect that. I'm not on the panel, the judging panel. But we're at the end. So this should be, as soon as the final judgments are rendered, we'll be able to say something about that. Is this the next question? They also want to know the terms. Is it a 1-year contract or multi-year? It's multi-year, this particular bid. And it's structured just like every other government contract. It rolls out in stages. So you'll see stages roll out, by time block. It's for those of you who've been around for a while, think of how like ideas rolled out, like it rolled out a few 100,000 and a few 100,000 more than like 1 million and something. All these contracts roll out in that same fashion. Okay. Okay, what is the state of the Telehealth app? Okay, the Telehealth app is in development. I have seen several working prototypes of this. It looks really good. We're going to have some marketing materials and stuff to share with you guys within the counting weeks on this one. So it's in development. I'd say it's more than halfway done. It looks really good. I think you guys will like it, and you'll be seeing the materials around how it works a little bit before the app actually comes out. But we'll have that to you. Like I said, that's in, count that in weeks, not months. It looks pretty good for those materials.
Marshall, just a quick question for you. On your previous subject, the $40 million contract, I think many of us are wondering, is that $40 million contract that DM is bidding on the same $40 million contract as the MDA joint bid that we've been waiting since May to hear about results? Thank you.
Yeah, that's the MDA co-bid, right? So we're at the very tail end of it. Like I said, we passed all the hurdles so far. So we just keep advancing on that, and people are asking, am I bullish on it or this? That thing looks really good at the moment.
Thanks.
Is that clear?
That, Marshall.
Yeah, not a problem. But we were required to report that we passed another milestone. So, we're in it to win it. On Graph blockchain, can you share with us the reasons for investing heavily? Well, the heavy investment was done when it was spun out. That predates me, so I can speculate at the reasons, but they were in the midst of spinning out companies, and that's why DM owns about a quarter of it. Are you working towards future AI contracts in the cryptocurrency sector? That's what the Shinhan financial tech pieces are about. They're actually specifically looking at cryptocurrency. It's a very interesting field. If you guys people have looked at my background, you will realize I ran a lot of tech for a hedge fund doing this type of trading. Cryptocurrency is an entirely different animal, especially since it's not heavily regulated as some of the other markets. So as we can all see, Elon Musk can tweet something and the whole market goes nuts, which wouldn't happen on a normal stock exchange or something like that. But yes, we are looking at that. That's a major part of what the Shinhan piece is about. Next question. What are the future for the fake news filters? There's still, yes. And the question is, are we developing it further? The future is it's going to get better. And yes, we are developing it further. And the question was, are you waiting on specific requests? No, there's already requests in right there. So those will be taking shape and improvements are being made. One question, is there a vertical for DM training AI to prevent porch pirate theft of packages? I have not looked into this, to be brutally honest. So I do not, we haven't looked into that. Question, will you be able to resume the AI contract discussions with the U.S. military when the borders reopen? Just to clarify, the military is tangential part of that project. Yes, they're in it, but it's more of a general thing with the U.S. government and all their alphabet agencies in general. And the answer is yes. So we still can't go down there and do this yet, but as soon as those restrictions relax, they're saying that the program will start up again. But again, with the pandemic, I don't have that timeline until Washington calls and says, okay, we can do it now. Okay, I think I got all the AI. I'm going to try to do the COVID stuff quickly, and we got a few minutes. Are we waiting approval on the saliva test? Yes. Is there still demand for saliva tests? Absolutely. In fact, we were just filling demands for saliva tests for certain. I was actually doing saliva test demand about an hour ago with a movie studio because they have a huge demand for these. Does ScreenPro provide all the testing for the film production and other clients? ScreenPro provides the vast majority of it. There are a couple exceptions where some sampling was in place prior to ScreenPro, but they're the exceptions and not the rule. So yes, ScreenPro provides almost all of the sample collection and pieces for Datametrex. As Datametrex is not allowed to do it ourselves because of the restrictions placed on us by the exchange. Is DM working with the cruise lines? We have been working with the cruise lines in the past. We weren't very successful at getting a lot of inroads in those cruise lines, as we do not have the facilities in the major ports.
Access to the waters of the Atlantic.
And I can. Okay, so let me start over. We have been in touch with cruise lines quite a bit. If and when a successful contract comes out of that, you guys will know. But it is something that we have, and have talked to several of them, even more recently, as some of the legal challenges are playing out in Florida. It's not a successful vertical for us right now, like the production industry is. But yes, we do talk to them. And should something open up, you guys will know. Does DM have an active sales team dedicated to selling COVID test kits directly? Yes. Will DM ever offer home test kits via drug store chains in Canada? That's possible. We do have that. We have that capability in other jurisdictions. Like some of the products that we get out of Korea are already cleared in places that could do this. The question becomes, is Health Canada going to allow it? And as we have seen throughout the pandemic, Health Canada is erring on the side of caution. That's just how I would like to phrase it. As far as this stuff is concerned, they're not as cavalier in approving things such as the European Union and a few other places. So yeah, we looked at that early on, and we're going to keep our eye on it to make sure that, and if it becomes available, then definitely we will do that. So last, can you provide updates on government rapid testing mentioned in May? Now, there's a couple pieces to this. I'm going to assume there's two of these that we talked about government rapid testing. Rapid testing is under consideration by several different governments. I know Quebec is testing it out now for certain, and for other jurisdictions. I'm going to assume this is the one talking about the mandate that came down in Ontario for the government rapid testing at assisted living centers and those pieces. If it's not, then send in another one with a little more clarity, something more specific, but I'll speak to this one. We are still in talks with that. Should that come through and the PCL antigen kits be chosen to conduct those, then we're going to sell it to it. But we have submitted to that to procurement. We're also in the middle of talking to a private company that wants to take that on in Ontario. But those negotiations are there. If something material comes out of it, you guys will see a press release. But yeah, it is being looked at. So that's all we've got time for today. Send in your questions again. The moderators will do it. If there's anything, we missed today, we'll try to get it next week. I appreciate everybody being here, and have a good day. And look for more shortly. Bye-bye.